Hello everyone and welcome to the second part of our preparation for Eternal Weekend video series. In this episode we go through the process of being the best version of yourself in regards to tournament play. This is episode 87, Practice for Champions of
In Response, a Legacy podcast.
I'm Philipp Klein
I am Daniel,
And I'm Peter Plank.
and we're talking about Legacy.
Most of the time.
You are listening to In Response, a Legacy podcast, a show where three handsome guys talk about their favorite Magic the Gathering format, Legacy.
I'm Peter Plank, the artificer. I've got everything at hand in my Goblin Welders toolbox.
I'm Daniel, the scientist. I ponder precisely about the next move that decides the fate of my opponents.
I'm Philipp Klein, the rogue. I use the graveyard to fuel opponents with agony.
And now, lean back and enjoy.
So guys, this is really a very, very important episode for a lot of people out there because people are traveling in droves to Pittsburgh, to Eternal Weekend Pittsburgh, and also for us Europeans to Eternal Weekend Prague. I think Eternal Weekend is on the 8th and 9th of December, and it's probably the biggest Magic event of the year. So we as a podcast will also be there and will also participate in this very, very great event. And we're all having a long testing phase behind us. So therefore, we will talk in this episode a little bit more non-magic related stuff, more about mental state of mind and how to really prepare for such a big event. So guys, maybe we can start with you, Peter. Is there anything that you do, I think, a month or a week before before Eternal Weekend in particular now?
I mean, a point for a month ahead is like having a hotel lined up so you know where you get to sleep. Seems like a really big thing to don't have to worry about like in a few days ahead of time, or maybe only book one hotel room.
This is what I wanted to say. It is very recommended to only book one hotel room if you don't need two. Happens to me, yours truly. Yeah. But what can you do? I think in that regard, but I think this is actually a good point because this is maybe a story I can share. We went to Bologna this year in summertime, and I booked the hotel way in advance just to make sure that we get a room in time, because usually this hotel is pretty much booked out prior to Bologna. And I had one hotel room booked, and then the second one I booked on their website, so not overbooking. And what happened is I forgot about it.
Oh, wow.
And in the end, I only realized when I was at the counter, I was saying, okay, I have one room for us three guys. And the lady looks at me, but I see two rooms for you. So I guess I have not a free, but I have an extra room now for this weekend.
Yeah, and you paid for the whole of it. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, just book yourself the right roommates. Get in a hotel where it's quite cozy, where you can relax, where you can have like safe travels. And that's a thing that should happen like a month ahead of any tournament.
Well, yeah, and what I would add to that is, of course, travel plans, like the practicalities that attach to that. Buy your event tickets, also pretty clear, because some of them, especially for Eternal Weekend, those tickets are pretty, sometimes can be quite low in stock, depending on the event itself. And like Magic-wise, what I would say is a month prior to the tournament, maybe you don't have your deck fixed for the tournament, but I think you should have a number of decks, like I think it should have been narrowed down to like 5 decks or something like that at most, or even better, let's say between 2 or 3 decks would be the ideal case that you switch between or have the option for.
Yeah, 5 decks. I think it's a very, very high number for someone to be on. I think it's also more in the 2 to 3 is also pretty high. More in the 2 deck range. I think it shouldn't be over that, for sure not.
Yeah.
Basically, like a month ahead of the tournament, it was like locked into like maybe Painter, maybe Grimward Depths, or Mono Red. So those are the 3. But after like a few testing, or a part of the testing phase, I locked it in like a month ahead now onto a single choice.
Yeah, that's what
Sorry, but this is just, I guess, the ideal case if you already have 1 deck.
Yeah,
a month prior to that.
Yeah, for sure. I think also that 1 month ahead is now the time to really focus on the testing, to really get your perfect 75 going. I mean, sure, you can switch some things up, but you will run out of time to test these individual cards for the deck.
Yeah.
It's just not enough time.
Yeah.
What I would also consider then is, even though you have your 2 to 3 decks lined out, you should think of, I think what is really good thing to do is to start thinking of the expected metagame. And especially when we talk about Legacy right now, what we observe is from weekend to weekend, we see different results coming in. Some Eternal Weekend events are also all happening. And you should be getting the feel, okay, what decks are performing well in which weekend and how does this change from one weekend to another. I think this is actually quite useful to get this early on a grasp on that, to help you predict, okay, when my event is going to happen, what kind of decks, what kind of archetypes I should expect more based on this little rotation. This is actually something that happens in a lot of different formats.
Yeah, that's basically like the leveling that you got in the format. Deck A beats deck B beats deck C, and deck C beats deck A.
Yeah.
And yeah, that, like you said, that happens all the time, and you can maybe predict through observing this how the meta will meta will shake up to that specific tournament.
Yeah, and 2 points to bring into is like, on the one hand, if you have like a kind of testing team or a local group that you're really good with, maybe schedule like a weekend or 2 weekends prior to the event that you have like maybe a testing day or even a testing weekend where you come together 8, 10, 12 guys and girls and just play together. Basically load up all the top tier decks in the format that you have all the decks to play against. And with this also comes like, see what are the cyber cards of the other decks, especially for like a graveyard combo deck like Philipp is playing. You really have to know which iteration of blue-black tempo or which is the graveyard hate of blue-black tempo, blue-black reanimator, stompy. Is it Fairy Macabre? Is it Leyland? Is it Ghost Vacuum? Is it Unlicensed Hearse or what else? You really have to get to know the opposing decks in this time frame to be prepared for the event.
Yeah, for sure. And also how many copies they are running. That's also a very, very crucial skill that you have. You have to, you have to mull accordingly to the amount of hate that they can have.
There's one tip that some pro players are always recommending, and I'm not sure how well it is actually executed when you do paper testing. It is just simply to play sideboarded games in the first place, because more of your matches will be sideboarded games or during the tournament. And the second thing would be, for example, if you want to know from Oops All Spells how consistently I can beat, let's say, for example, Grafdigger's Cage. Yeah. Let your opponent begin with a Grafdigger's Cage in hand. This really, because then you actually get to have a testing effect. Yeah. Also, if you want to test a one-off in your deck, start with it in your opening hand. Because otherwise, of course, a one-off in your deck, if you play 5 games, there's a big chance you actually never draw the card.
Yeah.
And then simply it doesn't shine and you simply can't test it. I think we have now covered the time frame of the month before the event, and I think we can now give you a tip that really, really turns up your game at the next big tournament that you're playing, and that's subscribe to the show. So please hit the subscribe button either on Spotify and or on YouTube, or support the channel via patreon.com/response_legacy. It's great to have our Patreons here. It's Matt Duncan, Christian Neutz, and Moritz Eichmeier. Thank you very much for the support, and join the show. With this out of our way, we can safely guide you through the next big step, and that's the week before the tournament. I think this episode airs pretty much a week before Eternal Week in Europe. And so that's now the part that most of you are probably the most excited about and are most eager to hear. The preparation the week before. Daniel, what do you think has to happen right now?
Well, it is kind of the hot phase at this point, because you're running out of time. That's kind of the point. And at this point in time, if you had a little bit of a testing sessions with a play group, what is definitely needed, I think, and I think we can all agree on this, you have to narrow it down to select one deck. It is not a question anymore. Do really exclude other options. I think on average, it's not worth it to switch decks on a short notice, because you just simply have the reps in your deck. You don't have the general sideboarded games played out, and you don't know your strategy of the deck probably in and out like other decks. So select one deck is number one.
Yeah,
for sure.
And going into like selecting the one deck, I would say like a week prior to the event, you don't have to have all the 75 locked into the deck. But I think besides like the one left flex slot in the main deck and like up to 4 or 5 cards in the sideboard should be pretty much locked in. So like have at least 70 of the 75 cards locked in for the deck. And a key thing, have all the cards you need. Because like if you order them on Card Market or Card Trader, they need sometimes only 2 days, but sometimes they need 14. And so then you get into the event hall, have to buy all the cards. And this is a hassle, and I guess you don't really want to do this. So have the decks ready at home, or have the guys or girls that lend you the cards so that you have everything for the event.
In addition to this, it's also very important now to grab your new package of sleeves.
Yeah.
That's really a crucial part. There has been a lot of tournaments that were lost over marked cards or just old sleeves mixed with new sleeves or some kind of iteration of that. Make sure just buy one pack of sleeves and then sleeve the whole deck with this one pack. Don't mix 2 packs or something like that. If you get deck checked and if you are playing good and if you follow these steps, you will probably play good, then the deck check will come at some point.
And to point on to that, if you have any altar cards, which is pretty common nowadays for Eternal Legacy gamers, please try to have additional copies of the cards with you, so that in case the judge won't allow them for you to use, to have additional copies of the cards left in a binder, so that you can use it for the tournament.
Especially true if you're playing with altered cards. Yeah, this is something that can come up that they're not tournament legal.
And also with silver bullets. Silver bullets are often problematic when they're altered or foil or a special version or something like that, because they could be found.
You mean like singletons?
Yeah,
right?
singletons. Yeah,
exactly.
No silver bullets for any werewolf running around.
Exactly. I have one extra concept that I don't know have we ever talked about this in the podcast that I want to share? This could be fitting for 1 week before the tournament. Have you heard about the concept of elephanting?
Yeah.
Basically, the idea is that if you have a deck and you're unsure about the sideboarding or the sideboard cards, you imagine, let's say, the top 10 matchups that you are expecting in the metagame, and you construct a 60-card version of your deck that is kind of the ideal 60-card version against each deck individually, sideboarded 60 cards, and then you have like a common number of cards together that could help you construct a sideboard. That's the concept. It's tedious. It takes quite some time, and you need to really think about your matchup beforehand. But if you go through the effort and prepare it for, I don't know, make it even the top 5 matchups, it's even a small little advantage that you can help you to identify what your 15th sideboard card might be or should be.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. I thought there was something else coming from you guys, but I think we have pretty much covered the week before. We can now go over to the day before the travel. What do you think has to be now your focus?
Packing underpants +1, because sometimes you just randomly shit yourself.
That's the
rule.
The Austrian-German special.
I mean, it's not the rule, and it's not even the case because
it happens. No worries about it. Yeah, nothing to discuss.
No, but gather all your clothes, gather all your decks, have sleeves on the side if you like break some of them in the tournament so that you can re-sleeve, or a really big point, like prepare your deck box. This is something I usually do, is like prepare the deck box with like at least 10 additional sleeves so that you can quickly change a sleeve if it rips, basically.
Yeah.
And take this out of the same package, for God's sake, do it.
Yeah, do not mix the sleeves.
Yeah, that can be a little bit problematic if you're running Yorion lists. Then I think you only have 5 sleeves out of a.
It should be like
package
around
left,
5 to 7, because I think Dragon Shield always sends like 102, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's never, of course, less than 100, but sometimes 1 extra or 2 extra.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things I really, really advise our listeners to do.
Not playing Yorion, of course.
That's also additionally. I mean, Daniel is the living proof of not playing Yorion.
Yeah. not Yorion breakfast, that's for sure.
But speaking of you, Daniel, what would you be prepare before the travel?
I'm focusing probably more on the practicalities. Like, something that I often forget is my passport if I'm traveling abroad. It's a simple thing that people might overlook when they're only focusing on Magic. Of course, the essentials like the extra copy of Underpants that Peter was saying, it's important. And in general, ideally have the day before the travel to properly pack your stuff. If you're traveling for, let's say, 3 days, whatever, something like that, you don't need much, but just make sure to grab everything that you need. Like, you can do it with a checklist. I mean, this is general travel.
but it's important actually to just remind our listeners of that, because these things happen all the time, and these are often such big wrenches thrown in the gears of potential tournament wins.
Exactly.
Because these things, if you forget your passport at home and then you have to rush home to grab it, and you're pretty stressed, you forget maybe something else, and you're totally zoned out of your tournament mind. And that's not good for your mental state. So keep everything tidy, keep everything ready. is really also a very, very crucial factor for playing well in the tournament.
Yeah, and one thing to mention here, if you're traveling basically abroad or to another state, is like if you have like issues with eating out in other countries, pack yourself some food that you know you can digest, like any, how is it called, like the small bars, any crunchy bars or something like that for the tournament day, if you know that you can't eat the hot dog anywhere because you just can't eat it, because then you have to use the extra underpants. So
That's what they are here for.
yeah. But yeah, buy yourself some water for the travel, buy yourself something to eat, some crunchy bars, granola bars, or in my case, I buy squeezies. These are just small little packets of
Fruit puree.
Is this actually the name of this thing? I've never heard of
I
that.
don't know actually.
There is actually a brand in America that is called Squeezies.
Okay.
I've looked it up the last time we
Yeah.
talked
okay.
about it.
I only know Naked.
Naked.
Yeah.
The
This movie brand.
smooth. Okay.
It's an American name. I think American listeners might know it. It's called Naked.
Okay. I didn't know this.
Yes.
We don't have it here. in
There are
Austria,
funny
so-
clips of that. But yeah, the other version.
Yeah, but yeah, buy yourself all the stuff that you might think that you can't get in the other country or the other city.
And also before you travel, you could already go to websites like TripAdvisor or Yelp or something like that and really plan your restaurant.
That is actually a good thing, because often when you are focusing on tournaments, what we experienced also, you just play, 12-hour long tournaments. You're finishing by 8 or 9 p.m. and then it is a challenge to find restaurants that are open. So get yourself informed of that. I think this is a really great tip.
Yeah, a small thing. Last year, I played all the 10 rounds at Eternal Weekend. I think we left that venue hall at like 10:15, 10:25, somewhere around the lines. And we moved to a restaurant where they only served up until 11 o'clock. And we were basically 5 minutes prior in there. We got to order a round of beers. But
that was it.
Before the waitress came with the food menu, we asked if we can have some food, and they said, yeah, it's 11:02. Drink
Late.
out and
that was
move
it,
to another location to eat something. I mean, we found a really, really great restaurant for ribs. And it was a great evening. But yeah, it was only 3 of us
Yeah, it
that
was a
had to
hassle.
move to another restaurant.
It's
and
also
all the
easy,
other
yeah.
had to.
If you're a group of 10 people, good luck finding something like that. Yeah. Usually all places are packed.
Yeah, and I think one last thing, because I think we move to the last thing. To quote Kai Savatari, book yourself a flight.
Well, shout out here to Kaiser Atari.
He once basically planned everything for Bologna, for the Four Seasons event.
and
And-
everything set up, the hotel, everything.
But he forgot to book the flight. So yeah, get yourself the form of transportation ready before traveling.
Seems self-explanatory, but it isn't. It really isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like buying 2 hotel rooms. It seems, but it isn't. We are now here at the location. We are here at our destination to play some Legacy. It's the night before the tournament, and we are hyped. We want to play. We want to test. We want to try out this sideboard card. We want to try out this matchup and that matchup. What's your opinion now, guys? What is our focus right now, the day and the night before the big tournament?
Party, strip club, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Perfect. We can wrap
Next
this
point.
episode here up.
We don't have to talk about the day.
Yeah. I think a minimum of 6 beers is like a good number that you should have. No, but I guess, the point is actually the other way around. The number one tip would be, seriousness, just go to bed early. That's what
or not early, at a reasonable time, I would say.
Yeah.
At your normal time, probably, so that you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. The same thing applies all the time. I drink a lot of water. Eat something nutritious.
Yeah, nothing too fat.
Yeah.
And don't go out to party. Really, that's the biggest thing that we probably can give you here.
Unless you want to just have good time, but if you, and this is what it is all about here, if you want to perform well on a consistent level or like on average, if you attend a tournament like Eternal Weekend, you cannot play such an event when you're hungover. It doesn't work like that.
I mean, you can play the event, but you can't expect to get top 8, win this thing, or even play reasonably good.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work like that.
And one thing also is to stop. At some point, I think the worries come in at this point in time. Do I have really the right deck? Do I have really the right sideboard? What should I expect? Should I change something up? I don't think, if you're not settled on this point, for a lot of tournaments, it is also often the case that you have to submit deck lists already by then. So then you're not able to change something. And you kind of should, I think, imagine that this was always the case, even though you could theoretically change something. I think there is only one exception. If you're playing basically on... If you want to play a white splash win painter.
Do you remember how the tournament went?
That's result-oriented thinking, Peter.
No. The one thing I wanted to mention here is like if you play with your local playing group at like the Friday warm-up FNM or something like that. Yep. If you get all like 5-6 rounds of Legacy in and you see like a really high number of a deck that you would expect like not to be here. Because like currently I'm thinking there should be around 4 to 5% of Upsal spells in Eternal Weekend. Because the deck is cheap, it's easy to get in paper because you don't need any reserved list cards, and the deck is performing exceptionally well. So I will think that Oops is like overrepresented. Maybe in paper at Eternal Weekend. So if I see like a lot of Oops at the Friday warm-up FNM, maybe I want to include like another sideboarding card that is good against the deck and like other decks that I see there. So this only has like effect on like 1 or maybe 2 sideboard slots. 73 cards, do not change them.
I'm kind of a different camp right here, because in my opinion, I don't really like playing too much the day before a big tournament. I think it can be very counterproductive to really to test right now, or to play some matchups, even if they're just for fun. When you go into the hotel and you're playing in the hotel lobby, you often see these people playing in the hotel lobby the day before the event and trying these things out and playing and just testing. I think that's a trap.
I like 50% agree with that, because and the reason why is that I think it depends on your discipline that you have, in regards that you let yourself be influenced by little sample sizes like that. Overall, and I think this is kind of already almost a human nature kind of thing. You're thinking, you're not sure about this, then you play one game and then you lost because of X, Y, Z, and then you disregard your complete decision again. And then that I'm fully with you. And this happens a lot of the times.
For a lot of players, I'm guilty of that myself. Yeah. That's why I advise our listeners for that. Yeah. Because I know myself, when I'm playing right before the event and I play the deck that I want to play for the event, it happens all the time. I don't draw the card, or I draw the card and it's just not good enough for something, and then I like I said, I question myself, I question the choice, I maybe make the switch or maybe try something else, and I get into result-oriented thinking from that little sample size. And that's a kind of a shadow that you always that always leaps behind you and will follow you through the whole tournament and will always tell you something like, yeah, maybe you should have changed the card, or maybe you shouldn't have, something like that. It's always there, and therefore I advise not to do this.
Yeah, especially like the first round, you really question yourself, and then if you already lose game one, maybe to some unlucky thing, or you think your opponent just drew better, or maybe it is even the case, it goes downhill because then you sideboard bad, then you lose the sideboard game, then you say, yeah, everything doesn't matter, I'm shit, the deck is shit. So
I played Burn instead.
Yeah, because like one thing is like we have
now sorry to interrupt you, Peter. Don't confuse. We have the day on the tournament also to talk about.
We're still in the day before.
Okay,
because
okay, perfect.
A local friend of ours, Andreas, you may have seen his decks online on Twitter because they are gorgeous.
Yeah.
He basically always plays a different deck the day before the event, and he only plays this deck on the other day if he wins it. Then he kind of says, maybe it's the time. But the thing with him is he always plays like Ant on the day before an event because it's his dream deck, his favorite, his love child, and so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, these are the kind of stories that happen overall.
Yeah, for sure.
Still, I think there's potential. I think there's value still. To if there is something like I don't know, a side event or a team trios or something like that, to scout a little bit the meta game, to still play some games. And I think this comes down to, like I said, how disciplined you are to, and how clearly you can still make judgments disregarding of what happens on the day before. I think you can even extract some valuable information, like the metagame, for example. But you have to be careful. That's, I think, the point that is important there. So, yeah, not treat it like a real test session anymore. Yeah. And consider small sample sizes. If you're only playing 2-3 matches, you probably cannot tell the full matchup. That's usually the case.
Yeah. To estimate the metagame, you have to be with a team, like you have to be like 5, 6, 7 guys that are playing in the event, that note basically every table what they are playing. So then you can say, we have like 120 players in these, we got like data on 80 of them, and then you can make an estimate. If you're just, okay, I played 6 rounds, I played 4 times versus oops all spells, we will have like 60% oops all spells in the turn. No, this doesn't function like that.
I will just omit all the ley lines and all the graveyard hate when I see so much oops.
But yeah, to summarize, like the night before, don't overdrink,
don't overeat,
don't oversleep,
don't undersleep,
don't don't oversleep, and don't over-evaluate the day before the event what the metagame will look like.
Yeah.
And thinking about the day, you had an awesome night. You've slept well. You're ready to throw some cards. What is now the perfect start in the day?
Get yourself into the breakfast buffet and eat like 4 to 5 different plates full of food. That's my number one.
For Daniel, it's like eating lots of cheese and sausage and
all the bacon I can get my hands on.
No, eat like really soft.
Like a king.
Like a king.
In my opinion, eat like you always do.
No, that's not the thing I would do.
In my case, it would be nothing, actually. It's very interesting. I usually don't have
nothing
breakfast.
is a really bad choice.
Yeah, that's a bad choice, for sure.
It depends. But
I think you need like 1 or 2 like
you need to know
pieces
yourself,
of bread with a little bit of butter, like a little bit of cheese. Only if you are not lactose intolerant. But yeah, something a little bit healthy, maybe like with a little bit of paprika and stuff like that.
Just a tiny amount.
Oddly specific.
It was the only vegetable that came to my mind
I
in
would
English.
have said fruits, maybe.
Or tomatoes or
whatever.
vegetables.
Tomatoes, doesn't matter.
Whatever, yeah.
But yeah, a healthy breakfast is probably the right thing to go, because you have 10 hours probably of Magic before you.
I usually don't need breakfast because I'm playing Cephali breakfast.
Yeah, you have your breakfast always with you during a
Second
tournament.
breakfast and third breakfast.
Yeah, and now imagine you have your breakfast already. You're going to the location. You're signing up, and then you're just waiting. What is now your focus? What shall you do during the day, during the tournament?
One thing to mention here, because like some guys don't remember the tip that we gave them like a week ago. If you really need any cards, show up 1.5 hours early to the tournament, the location. Go to every shop, because like
They
a
won't
lot of
have
the-
it.
Yeah, a lot of them won't have the cards that you need. So like show up, even if you don't need anything, show up like an hour before, because maybe there are like artists that you want to sign your cards.
And also here I have to add a little story of myself. I had everything packed up. I had everything ready for a Grand Prix Birmingham in 2018. And on the day of the tournament, or I think in the playing session the day before that I won't do anymore, I noticed I was missing a card. But I have for sure had it.
It was a Dark Confident.
It was a Dark Confident. And we played in the airport area of Frankfurt, and I lost the Dark Confident there.
Yep.
And so double check your deck before the tournament. That's insanely valuable.
It was insanely unlucky.
Yeah.
And really bad. And I really could see that you were so stressed out during that time. It was shortly before the tournament start.
Yeah.
How did you get your hands on? I think you found it in the end.
Yeah, I found that Dark Confident for 60 euros.
That's... Oh my
Wow.
god.
I think it was worth 40 at that moment, and paid 60 for it. That hurt so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like to go through your deck if you have every card. I actually would move the tip to the night before.
Yeah, probably. Probably, that's true.
Because it depends on like if I can sleep in half an hour later, basically.
And to add to that, what probably is also good to do. I don't want to talk to a lot on the day before, but one thing to do would also be to prepare your deck list, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's also not something that you should do like 5 minutes before the tournament start. Write your deck list. Usually, really do it the night
Nowadays, you do it online, so it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
But otherwise, print it out before you travel.
So I've seen so many people writing their deck lists 10 minutes before tournament. I can simply understand it. It's just that doesn't go in my mind.
that seeps through what we just discussed the night before. You are unsure. This drags over the night, probably. You're still unsure what to play, and then you wait for the last moment, and then you make an impulsive decision, and you don't know if it's right or wrong. It's not an educated decision and guess.
It's a guess,
yeah. That's about it. It's not really based on fundamental argumentative reason why you chose now this card over this.
Yeah,
it doesn't help.
Yeah, and for the tournament, like the key thing is like locate the place where you can go out of the venue to get some fresh air. Locate the toilets. Locate the buffet or the places where you can get some food at the location. Locate the place, if it's not the same, where you can get something to drink. So these are the spots that you really want to know. And additionally, get yourself a place or look out for a place where I think you can relax in silence. Because this is something that I usually do at a big tournament. If I don't play any deck that goes way into time, is like I have my headphones with me. I go outside, I put my headphones in, I listen to a song of a band that I really like, and then I go outside, I catch some fresh air, I calm down, and then I may talk to other people. So get all the places for you, because like getting to relax at such a stressful experience sometimes is really important.
But what I can add to that, but now we're kind of entering a little bit of personal way how to handle this probably. I would also be with you here on that regard. And what I, on top of that, try to avoid is talk about or listen to any bad beat stories.
That was my tip. Perfect.
I really hate this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. On a FNM level, when we're just having fun and it doesn't it's about a tournament, I can listen to all the stories and I'm happy to hear them. But during a tournament, I don't want to be like mentally loaded with this. Oh, my opponent drew this card and now I do this and so on. It doesn't help yourself. It doesn't help myself. It helps nobody.
Yeah, and also not happy beats. It's the same.
Same. Nothing that is luck. What is maybe interesting is to reflect on your decisions.
Yeah.
People really don't pay too much attention on your decisions. They only tell, okay, my opponent drew my removal and then I just lost. What did you do prior to that? And you could just think for that on your own, probably would be the best idea.
Yeah, the thing is like, especially when we go into like decision trees and something like that, this is way too much load for any 10, 11, 12 round tournament. Like, I think like, so really small bad beat or like happy time stories are like, okay, like, my opponent drew 4 to 1 ring and then it just lost, is okay to comprehend, but did you know what my opponent did? He played at the 1 ring and then he did that and I did that and he drew another one. This is too much.
Yeah. I mean, this is then kind of depending on your own personality, how much you can handle, or maybe you are fine with that. I personally am not.
Yeah, I can totally see this, and I also, that's why I wanted to bring I wanted to make sure that this will get said. I'm happy that you said it, Daniel. Try to avoid these bad beat stories. Totally. So, like Peter said, go and relax. That's the best thing you can do. And
go to the toilet, drink water.
Stay hydrated, my friends. That's really an important thing. To always have something to drink. Not sugary drinks, but watery drinks. So tea is good or water.
What I really like to do, which helps me relaxing, is just to be in the venue and watch the remaining players play their matches. Yeah. And I'm thinking with them, head over to a table, don't interrupt them, of course, but just, look what's going on and think of their decision points. For me, this helps myself, at least, to get my head free of what just happened in my match, and I can refocus. And for me, it's actually relaxing.
So we are completely different in this case. For me, it's like the hassle that you kind of have to do at the end of the tournament if you are on the top tables, which is something that I actually didn't do last year. Maybe that was a problem, because like if you are performing at the top tables, and this is something actually that I maybe should have told my not my opponents, but our local group that was there and was like out of the tournament. They were like eating and drinking, sitting in the venue around. I should have told like 2 or 3 of them, guys, I'm 7-1. I have a shot at Eternal Weekend. Please look out at the top tables and tell me what the others are playing, because like that's actually really important. So if you have a local group, do that.
Yeah, for sure, it helps a tremendous amount.
Yeah, and I think it is by round, 3 or 4 starting, where there's usually a big group of people piling at the top tables anyways around, watching what's going on, because they want to watch the best players. Yeah. I think personally, this is also one reason why I like to watch them also. You can learn from them, and they also want to know what they are playing, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Another tip from myself is even if you lost your first round, don't immediately go over to the bar or something and grab yourself a beer. That's just a losing proposition that you're taking right now.
Yeah.
Because even if you scrub out of the main event, there are always side events to play. And having 2 or 3 beers prior to a side event won't give you the edge in these tournaments. It will lead to the same demise actually that you had prior to this. It's better to really refocus, relax, grab something to eat. Maybe talk with your buddies, not bad beat stories, but for me just socializing, not talking about Magic, but socializing and talking about different things helps me to refocus and to regain my state of mind. So really try to focus on yourself here and don't drink something.
Yeah, and to add on to this, even if you lost the first round,
Who
just
cares?
move yourself into a different stand if you really want to spike the tournament. I'm guessing the other guys are still playing a 10-round tournament. But yeah, I'm here. I'm playing in another tournament. I'm playing 9 rounds, single elimination, and I just want to win this event now. So yeah, you lost the round, but 9 round single elimination. Fuck yeah. Go.
Yeah, and even that, I mean, you could always tell yourself and tell your mind that it's just the next game, and you want to focus on your next game and to make the best decisions in that game that you can do. That's basically more an overall tip and not just for the if you lost a round or something. It's treat every game not as a tournament, but every game as it is, one game of Magic, and try to focus on that.
Yeah.
Because we often focus on things that happened the match before, and then our mind just drifts away, and that's easy to lose our focus.
And one thing to add on here, if you're playing like a slow deck, like sometimes lands or any really fair decks,
Control.
or especially control, if you have like matches where or if you're playing against those decks, if you have like matches where you are like 99% sure that you lose, but your opponent needs like 10 minutes or so, like 5-6 turns more, that they close out the game, and this is game 1, scoop up and go to the next one.
Save yourself the time, because it's
You need
really,
it.
really, there's a higher percentage that you win the next game than this one.
And a draw doesn't really help you.
You definitely don't need to wait that you are 100% losing. I think if you are down to 90%, something like that, it's just a number. But even if you have outs, but they're so unlikely and they are maybe drawing certain cards in multiple turns in a row, it likely won't happen. The time is more valuable.
If you miss 2 or 3 crucial land drops, scoop it up. That's basically the thing here.
Yeah.
Because you have a really high chance to draw a land, and they're simply running away with the game. So therefore, save yourself the time. I think we save now some time. Or is there something that we can add on, some last words, for some tips for our listeners?
Don't forget to eat the big meal at midday, because like for me, usually at like 12 o'clock, I usually don't get it, but at 1 o'clock I get the feeling that I really need something big right now. So I have like always one round, and this is usually round 5 where I don't perform well. This was Eternal Weekend last year, where I threw game 2 against Rodrigo Tagores, and this was actually round 5 again in Bologna last year, where I also went like into 4-1 instead of 5-0. If I would have played perfectly in there, because I need the food at like this part of the day.
This is, I think, to a certain extent also personal. There's also the risk that you overeat, and then you're completely full, and you also cannot focus anymore.
Small bites.
Small bites, sometimes. I would say this is everyone's...
It's personal.
It's personal, exactly. But I think you should consider that, absolutely, and try to plan it
Yeah.
or maybe you and your teammates can help yourself out.
And take granola bars.
For example.
For example, these are always very, very handy to have, simply in your bag, because they're fast.
They're fatty and sugary most of the time, which are actually two things that you really need when you work the whole day with the brain.
Probably, yeah. So, any last words for you? Perfect. No. So, this was episode 87, Practice for Champions. We hope you liked that episode. So, if you liked it, click and subscribe and comment on the down by the video or on Spotify, basically everywhere. And simply would be great to follow us on social media. It's at response_legacy. You can find me on social media. It's at PhindekMTG, PHINDEKMTG.
You can find me on social media. It is at Flying Delver.
And you can find me on x.com. It's at Unicorn Lord, but the O in the Lord is a 0.
Have fun in Eternal Weekend. We see us in Prague and in response.
The end.
This was In Response, a Legacy podcast. If you enjoyed the ride, feel free to support the show by following, leaving a review, or subscribe on patreon.com/response_legacy.